So Amanda, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, and it's lovely to see you as always.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Emma.
No worries. And we've obviously known each other for probably about 3 years, but we've actually never met before in person because I was recommended to come to you, and you've really helped me with certain areas of my life. So we've been doing sort of Skype consultations or Skype sessions together for a
Yeah.
while. But can you just explain to everyone who's listening, like, what work you do and how you found your way into that work?
Okay. Yeah. So I think you were recommended by somebody else that I'd worked with in Australia, and actually, funny enough, I've got quite a big audience in Australia. It started. I'm an intuitive consultant, and it all started about 24 years ago with my work. But I think the work really started when I was 3. So I've always been very intuitive, very understanding, very sensitive to what's going on around me. And because of the adversities I experienced and got through as a child, I guess you could say that this was my calling. It was my understanding that intrinsically as humans, we have this deep awareness of how to overcome adversities despite the challenges that we face. And so I've been helping people ever since, about 1996. But the real work, I think, kicked in about 2008, where I started teaching this to a broader audience. And now I write for a publisher. So people come to me for all sorts of reasons, and from all sorts of walks of life. So that's pretty much what I do. I help people to overcome adversity to find their true, authentic nature.
Yeah, brilliant. And you've really helped me, so thank you. I know I've said thank you a few times, but thank you for all the help over the years that you've given me, and yeah, like the person who recommended me as well. I know she's had some amazing transformations happen as well. So the reason I guess that we're sort of talking on the podcast today is just because of everything that's going on in the world right now. We were talking last week about this, and the fact that you help people to overcome adversity. I mean, could you give me your perspective on what is happening and what you're witnessing, and what your beliefs are around what's happening at the moment?
Well, I've always had this understanding that there are 3 types of people. There are those that are totally asleep. They sort of move through life and they have no real awareness of what's going on with the bigger picture, and that's absolutely fine. They just want to go to work. They want to spend time with their families. They just want to enjoy life to the max. And there are those that have perhaps been touched by life and have experienced challenges that have made them look deeper at life. They may have had experiences by seeing coincidences, synchronicity. They may recognize that there is a higher power, or there is something more than just the physical plane that we live on. And then there are those that are completely awake. They kind of have this, one foot in the energy world or the spirit world, whatever you want to call it, and one foot in the physical world. And they are able to adapt and become aware of their moving situations and adapt to these to their advantage, and also for the greater good of all. So we kind of have these 3 different sort of what I see as different groups of people. Because of what's going on with the earth at the moment, and we've had crisis for a long time, just oversaturation and concerns with pollution, etc. We weren't working, I feel, as quickly enough as we could to actually clearly make some critical changes. And this has come along at a time, not to say that it's come along to shake us up, but it's certainly having the effect that will shake us up to get us to address this. And we will always look at this in a way that's far deeper than that's actually going on in this situation, because we're all being stuck on the naughty stair now, and Mother Earth is saying, right, okay, I've had enough of this, come on, we've got to sort this out. And whilst that's happening, the earth can shift and the earth can kind of cope with this. and then we will have to come out of this smarter, stronger, wiser, and more authentic, so that we can actually, create a better life for us all to live in. And I think that's generally happening at the moment for a lot of people. I think people are looking at it from that perspective rather than looking at the negative that's happening. Yeah. Even though there is this around us.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I've been speaking to friends today who are just like, I'm actually just really enjoying this time and just enjoying, like, the air seems cleaner, and people are with their families, and it just seems to have taken us back, like it's kind of pulled the rug out from under us, but it sort of seems to have taken us back to a very simple life at the moment.
Yes, yeah, I think that's the majority of people are realizing that maybe some are still caught up in this, in the, I guess, the we will rebel because it's natural for us. We've been going along a path, and we've had our structure, routines, we've had our freedom, and then suddenly we've had no choice but to adapt. We are very able to adapt. We're very resilient as human beings. And I think we needed to be put into a situation where we had no choice, because given choice, we will always find the easiest route. It's like water, it will always run down the easiest course. So I think we haven't got any choice now. People, in general, are embracing this and realizing that we are having quality time to review, to reflect, and really, embed ourselves in that feeling of being, one with our community again, our family, our tribe, and who we are. But that's going to obviously come up in different forms for different people, and we're all going to rebel, and we're all going to find very, much difficulty at times when we have to face ourselves. So this is going to be a real telling time for us all, really, because we will have to face parts of us that we perhaps have overlooked or put aside because we've filled it with things that have actually helped us to distract ourselves from that which we need to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this will be interesting.
And with those three types of people as well. I mean, are there any people in particular? And it might be an obvious question that are maybe struggling with this more than others. Is that an area that you help people in if they are struggling?
Yeah, I think it's the. I deal with the people who are in the middle. They're semi waking up, and with that, because of the nature of waking up, it tends to bring a lot of stuff up for them. You kind of have to have everything. We've got the laws of polarity on this earth, and with human nature, we have this yin and yang thing going on all the time. We're ready to heal, we're ready to transform, but also in order to do that, we have to bring up stuff that no longer serves us, so we can move away from that, and then we create the space for that which does. So that's pretty much what I help with, and that helps people to become deeper ensconced in the nature of their I guess the essence of who they are, their blueprint, what they were here to serve, who they were meant to be with. It deepens their relationships and helps them to become stronger, empowered, and to heal and to let go of repetitious cycles of I guess deprivation. These habits and behaviours that we keep playing out, and that's kind of the opportunity we've got right now to cut away from those cycles that don't serve us anymore, so that when we come through this, we're going to be better for it, because we would have set a new precedent for ourselves based on our blueprint, as opposed to those old habits. So yeah, it's a good opportunity for us all.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think obviously aside from the the sadness and the loss that some people are experiencing, and obviously the illness itself, I think from what you're saying, and from speaking with my friends, a lot of people are having that experience. It's this time of reflection, and you were talking earlier about the work. Can you just explain the work that you're doing with the nurses and the key workers and at the moment as well?
That was a very surreal thing, because I left London wanting to move to a more natural location again. My last youngest son had moved on to university, so it was time for me to move to where I wanted to move to. And I decided that I was going to take a job on the side of my work, purely because I like to keep incredibly busy, and I was building my clients back up again after having some respite because I'd been unwell for some time, and it was a good opportunity. I guess I went into that empty nest syndrome as well. Once all my kids are gone, I needed a family again. So funnily enough, my CV was flying about, and somebody approached me and asked me if I would consider working in the health sector. And it was not my first thought, but actually it was amazing. As soon as I went into that interview, I thought, these are my people. This is my family. I need to be here at this time. And the irony is that now I'm a coordinator, coordinating nurses in the community to keep some of our most critically sick clients, well and alive in the community. And we're one of the biggest suppliers to the NHS as an agency. So I can see that the work is coming through that. I'm supporting my colleagues, I'm supporting the nurses, their families, the clients, as well as now obviously more clients coming in more than ever before. So I can see why I'm here at this time.
Yeah, wonderful. And I guess, kind of going, well, we've kind of covered it, but I mean, in terms of what lessons do you think there are that as a people, as a global people, like we can learn from this experience? Like what, because there might be people out there that are listening to this right now that aren't in a good place, that are still really stressed out and may have lost businesses and lost their income and, might not have family. But what lessons, could you, what lessons could you recommend that people look at?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been there many times. I've lost businesses and homes, and this is through ill health, and I can understand. I've done this over and over, and every single time I've applied the same principles to getting through and climbing back, up the ladder again, and creating something new. And so my advice is that the only way you can deal with this is you have to go within. You have to invest in yourself. So if you want to create something, especially in times of isolation, there is an instilling of faith. And whatever your faith is, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in angels, whether you believe in, icons, whatever it is, if you reinstill that faith and you invest in yourself, then what you're doing is you're tapping into a resource that is connected to consciousness. And consciousness is the supplier of everything. It will help you to come through this no matter what, bigger and better than before. It will help you to rid that which no longer serves you. And it deepens your relationships, regardless of whether you are isolated at this time. You will find a way. We are very resourceful when we have to go into adversity. And investing in ourselves is known to us. We all know on an inner level what we need to do, whether that be improve our health by exercising, improve our health by eating better, drinking more water, less alcohol, breaking away from old habits, keeping away from technology. Whatever that is, we know what to do. And I think we need to put a game plan in place. We need structure. That's what we need as human beings. Put a structure in place for yourself every day. And I have a 5-point plan that I follow every day. My company is as well, a lot of people who are involved in it, and I've been sharing it around, and it's just a very simple tick list that makes sure that you adhere to those crucial elements every day. If you don't beat yourself up, you're just doing your best. Mm-hmm. But if you've got something to work towards, we've got goals, and humans, it's intrinsically linked in every cell of our body to work towards goals, and that is just taking a day at a time, moment by moment, and just investing as much as you possibly can into doing your best.
Yeah, brilliant. And would you mind sharing that 5-point plan with us? Could you give us an inkling as to what you do?
I wasn't prepared for this. Hold on a minute. Let me just see, because actually it's pretty challenging, especially when your dynamic changes. Mm-hmm. And for me, my teenagers arrived in the middle of this, and the first week I was doing brilliantly because it was just me and myself, me, myself, and I. But when those dynamics change, that's when we have to dig a little bit deeper. So the first one is, let me just have a look. Hold on. Yes, so the 5 points is set a routine and stick to it. So that's the first thing. When I say routine, I don't mean sort of get up in the morning, brush your teeth, get yourself dressed. I mean do something that is out of the norm, which is perhaps creative. Whether you want to write a book, whether you want to, do a puzzle every day, whether you want to, read, whether you want to immerse yourself in a good movie, but something that's going to be a routine every day. So you know that at a certain time, or you have that to hold on to, because we need routine. It kind of is like the rope that's pulling us up the mountain. And if it's something that you're growing with, that's going to be even more beneficial to you, especially when it's creative. So this is a good time for people to write, to journal keep, to immerse themselves in the things that they love to do. Knit a jumper, get that knitting out that's been sitting there. Be creative, get that mind functioning again.
Yeah.
Obviously going out for a walk and doing some mobility or stretching. So that's really important, because we need the systems of the body to actually start, moving, and we need to be flexible. That's going to help us to, symbolically, it's going to help us to be flexible with how we adapt through this situation, and it keeps us mobile, moving forward. So there's a lot more going on with the body, mind, spirit, and our emotions, that's all connected to all of this. If you can complete a workout, now that can be quite, diverse. You can have somebody who just does, a few stretches or a little bit of yoga or Pilates. You can have someone who wants to do a HIIT session from an app. It depends on what your thing is. You're not going to throw yourself into HIIT if you've only ever been doing a few downward dogs on a Saturday morning. You're going to do whatever you want to do, and you can just try and do your little, your personal best every day. It's not to try and beat yourself. It's just your personal best and how you're feeling on that day. Mm-hmm. Meditating and or doing some deep breathing. And I say that because breathing is allowing us to open up and expand the lungs, using the bottom of the lungs that we don't often use, which gets the silt up. We hold grief, we hold fear, we hold a lot of emotions in the lungs, and the chest area is very much about how we connect with people. And because we're fearful at the moment, people will shut down, especially in that area, and we will become hunched and withdrawn and try and protect ourselves. So this is a good way of opening up, expanding, knowing that we're connecting still at some level, but getting those lungs, getting rid of everything that no longer serves us is really good. So meditation, if you do a bit of meditating, that's great. On a daily basis, it will help you feel anchored. It really is a great way to ground you. And then last thing is to write down your win for the day or something you're grateful for. Mm-hmm. Because I think that for us as human beings, again, it's showing us that we are doing our best. Yeah. It's also showing us our gratitude for everything that we have. We start looking around us then and seeing that what we have, which is far less than we normally have, is actually all we need. In fact, we're more grateful for the little things. And because of that, the universe then looks at us and says, okay, well, you're feeling grateful, then we have to bring more to you. Yeah. So it's not something you can con the universe into by saying, yeah, I'm really grateful because I've just had a bowl of, Rice Krispies and nobody else can get any in the shops. The universe looks at you and really understands the intention behind it. And that's with all of these 5 principles. I think it's your intention. It's how you apply yourself that counts, not just ticking it off mindlessly, because that is actually based on how we've been before. We were just going through so much, processing and not being fully present. And it's being fully present that counts in this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, look, I mean, I definitely felt like I was part of a machine. It was like rinse and repeat, up, work, go, traffic, home late when it was dark, make some food. We were all kind of in that machine. But I was actually just talking to my housemate about this tonight, and we were talking about India at the moment, and just like, oh wow, aren't we lucky, like here in Australia and obviously in the UK, that we have a healthcare that service that, yes, that protects us and looks after us. And she actually raised a really good point, and she just said, I'm actually grateful for social distancing. She said, because yes, in India we wouldn't even have that. And it was such a good point, and I was like, wow, that's a really good point for gratitude. It's like, we're actually in countries where we can social distance, where we can take that opportunity to keep ourselves away and keep ourselves safe. But there's a lot of countries out there that, you just don't have that opportunity.
And it's interesting because a friend of mine had arrived back because she had to renew her visa, and she's been living in India for many, many years. Mm-hmm. And on this particular occasion, she happened to come back at this time and she can't return. If she had, because of her health, she knows that she would not have survived. Wow. It's quite interesting how we look at this. Everyone, when we look at it from a bigger perspective, we are exactly where we need to be. We fight against that all the time. We say, no, I shouldn't be here. I should be with my loved ones. If I'd just been down the road, or if I'd just been at my aunt's house or my uncle's house, or, we rebel against what we can't control. And it's when we step back and we look at this and we think, actually, we all have what we need right now. And it's just about what we can do within the realms of probability, without trying to control anything or rebelling against that will help us to get through. And it's for us to look at these countries and say to ourselves, actually, look how lucky we are, because that's then when we wake up and realise that we are blessed. We really are.
Yeah, absolutely. And something else that I know that we were talking about a week or so ago was about this opportunity for, you were mentioning about genius potential. Could you sort of expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So you're absolutely right. I mean, even I fall into this all the time, and I know and teach this work, and I've been doing it for years, but I can fall foul to this too. What happens is that when we become to what I call beta based, so the left side of our brain is just constantly, we get up, we get in the car, we drive to work, we get through our 12-hour shift or whatever, and we come home again, we've got to eat, and we just process. We are very much neglecting this part of our brain, which is where the alpha, theta, and delta frequencies reside. And yes, we experience going into that state when we're going into our sleep, but we rarely experience it during the day because we've become so conditioned. For instance, 2 weeks before this happened, I contracted pleurisy, and I was in the hospital myself, which I still have. That I knew what I was being shown in. I was overworking. I was doing the job that I love now. And I was, my clients, I was seeing them, and I was writing and completely, but in a very processed way, trying to compartmentalize everything so I could cram everything in. And that's one of my weaknesses. I'm a bit of a workaholic. So we all have a tendency to move into an extreme sense of what is out of balance with our personality, and that's one of mine. When we have an opportunity like this, we can start to look at how we can use our genius potential by getting both sides of the mind to work together so that we can find right solutions. So really, meditation is a great way to get the mind to sync. And that's when we start to, as soon as that syncs, we are then open to consciousness. When we're open to consciousness, it's like a library of information, a library of solutions. It's where our best self is housed. It's where all the people that we're meant to meet, all the places we're supposed to go, all the best health we're supposed to experience, all of that is there. And we are encouraged by getting a download of what we need to do and what action we need to take to help us to achieve all these things. And we only get that when we're in right alignment. And that comes from getting these two hemispheres to actually connect with one another. So that's really important. So meditation is really key. Doing things like spending time in nature. I mean, at the moment, I am so blessed because I'm literally living on the edge of the countryside. I'm in a little town, but I can walk outside and I can walk for miles. So I'm, Nate, that helps me to think. So things like nature, being around plants, being around people that are very loving, being in a state of joy, all of that helps to open that hemisphere. So we need to move away from fear. And when we're in fear, we're isolated. We're in our lower self. I guess we are. We're putting a lot of pressure on our body because we are unhealthy. There's a lot of stress. So it's more natural for us to actually realise that to be healthy, to be well, it's better to be positive. But you can't just create positivity. You have to work at it. You have to implement tools, implement processes and structures that help you to maintain that.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
important time.
And I guess for people who are in fear, and like I've been there in my life, and that's probably when I was reaching out to you. When you are in fear, it is sometimes you might not have the resources available to you, or sometimes you might not have the financial resources to be able to sort of reach out. But I mean, is there any sort of advice you can give to someone? Is there like a step? And I know you've given a lot of take home information, but what would be the first step from moving away from a place of fear?
Okay. So what I did when I was much younger, even though I had an awareness of this, I started reading self-help books. I started reading literature that helped me. I always say it's, you can't get it wrong. You will reach out, you'll go on Amazon, you'll have a look and you'll say, right, what do I want to read? You've got no idea and it will just jump out at you. Trust your instincts. Go for something from your heart as opposed to your head. Choose material, stuff that's going to help you to enhance your intuition as well as uplift you, because that helps to um, tap into your inner resources, which is your ability to see, hear, and feel your way through the situation, as opposed to trying to do it logically. And that has a twofold effect, because it enhances your ability to be aware more so, but also it will help you through and help you to start to go into what we call alignment or harmony.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
yeah, so anything that this time, watch videos that are uplifting, reach out, hear someone else's voice through a book, hear somebody on a screen. Don't feel isolated and alone. If you're somebody who actually is isolated and scared of being alone, then reach out and bring those people into your life, bring them into your room, into your world,
Yeah.
and that will help support you at this time. There's plenty of resources out there.
Yeah. And talking of Amazon, thank goodness for Amazon, because I know I've bought a few of your books through Amazon as well. Are you using this time? Is there something else you've got in the pipeline? Is there another book in the
Yeah, well,
works, or for a
that's a
workaholic?
you should say that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I think to be fair, I'm a writer first and foremost. That's my communication, and that's how I communicate this message that is about what I teach. And for me, if I didn't have that, I would go stir crazy. We all have something that anchors us, and writing anchors me. And actually, it's quite interesting writing this at this time, because of the perspective that's coming through about the changes that I'm going to go through personally, my family are going to go through, what I'm observing with my clients and the people around me, my work colleagues. And it's a very, very, I mean, who wouldn't want to write about this, to show and catalogue this as an emotional journey as well as historical journey of what changes we are going through. It's for me it's a blessing really, because obviously it's going to change us all.
Yeah, yeah, it is. As unpredictable and as unsure and uncertain as we all are now, I am quite excited about what will come
Yeah.
after this.
Yes, absolutely. I think we'll never go back to how we were.
Hmm.
We will only go into something that's better. And none of us know what that is. And I
Mm.
think all of us, we've all been stripped back like children. It's exciting. It's like Christmas again. We just do not know what's ahead of us now.
Yeah,
We don't know what our parents have put in that parcel. And we've all been sort of, it doesn't matter who we are, whether we're a nurse, whether we're a teacher, we're a politician, a child, we all have that same unknowing. And that kind of makes us appreciate everything that we have now, and not expect we're all at the same I guess that the same level, and
yeah,
we've all got to expect you know the unexpected.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm just gonna invite you to let everyone know where they can find you. But before I do that, is there anything else that you feel is important to say, or anything that I just haven't asked the right question about, that you feel a calling to share?
No, well, the only thing I would say is that this is a time of change for everybody. And we, in our own way, we've all got the ability to enhance our world, enhance our lives, and the lives of others. It's a time really where we should be building bridges. We should be making that connection with those people that perhaps we've lost touch with. It's a real time of bonding and just checking in, not assuming that other people are okay, even when they come across as being okay. It is a time for us to actually find out, our resilience and also our understanding of our nature by pushing the parameters a little bit, coming out of our comfort zone and just checking to see, what's going on around us, because that's what we've closed down from before. We may say hello to our neighbours, but we know nothing about them. We rush to work and we forget that we've got all our friends that are there in our energy field, but we just think, oh, it's okay, I'll call them in a couple of weeks when I've got more time. So this is a time for us to really connect with our loved ones and people we've never met. Reach out to people. I saw a woman in a car park yesterday that had shut her keys in her car, and she was very distressed. And whilst somebody handed her a phone so she could, phone for her husband, you have to stop and talk to them. And I did. It was lovely, and she touched me as well as me reaching out to help her, and so did that other woman who gave her the phone. This is what we do. We are very good at being human, and we're very good at reaching out to strangers in adversity. So this is our time and our opportunity.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think oh, I love that, because it's kind of like this is the opportunity to be good humans, to really live our potential, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got this thing every on a certain day of the week at a certain time. We all stand outside our front door and we clap the NHS, and people are in tears. It's just amazing. Who are we applauding? All these strangers that we don't know but are saving lives. And I think that's the thing. We are, as a nation, as a human race, we're now realizing that we've got to celebrate everybody and for all their differences as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Amanda, what a lovely way to finish. Please tell us where we can find you, where we can find your books, of which I have several as well, and where people can reach you.
Yeah, well, at the moment I am ensconced. I live, eat, and breathe in my bedroom, but and work. But you can find me. My website is amanda-hart.co.uk. My books are on Amazon, so you can. There's Talking with Angels of Light, which is I guess it's the foundations for the work that I teach. If that's what you believe in, a lot of people are reaching out and wanting to deepen their understanding of the energy world at the moment, and there's Talking with Angels of Love on there as well. So I do have my memoir, which I still have copies of, which I send out to people. But as I say, yes, I'm out there. You just have to Google find me, and I'm on social media. So please get involved, subscribe, and I can keep you updated with stuff.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And just to confirm as well, your surname Hart is actually spelled Hart. So is that right? So it's Amanda hyphen
Yes,
Hart. Hart.
Yeah, I work with the heart, but it is spelled Hart.
Just because people are like, I can't find her. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on. And as always, we're Skyping at the moment for anyone who's listening, but it's lovely to see you. And you take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.
That'll be lovely. Thank you so much, Emma.
All
Take
right,
care.
thank you.
Bye.
Cool. And then I'll just